All right, man. Good to be with you again, Rex, young lion.
Yes,
Uh,
sir.
man, so I wanted to talk to you because I was recently on a podcast. It was a men's podcast, and we were talking about intimacy, and I know that's something that is a big subject for you. And we were talking about, just how we as men can become more intimate with our partners. And one of the things we talked about was the father wound, and I won't go into all of that.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, there's a guy on there that was like, he was the DJ. And, we're talking about all this maturing and development and stuff. He's like, listen, 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 listen. Okay, I get all that, but why is it that it's always about us changing or trying to improve ourselves and trying to, you know, be more in tune and all this stuff, which is not, he's not discarding that, but he's like, why isn't it that, you know, there's no emphasis on what women need to do?
Right. That's good.
It was good. It was good. I was like, wow, you're right because you know, two things can be true at the same time, right? I think that we both recognize that there is a lot of emotional development that men need because sometimes we get stunted because of trauma and other factors. And so there's some work that we need to do, but also, you know what? That doesn't negate the fact that there's some work that our partners need to do as well. So I wanted to first get your take on that, and then share my thoughts.
Man, absolutely. And that's really a great question and a great statement that he made. And the two things come to mind. Thing number one is our lack of teaching, right? There are certain areas that we need to develop in emotionally, spiritually, in our communication. But if all we saw growing up was our father going to work, handling business, coming home, mama say, your daddy home, give him the remote, your daddy home, let him have his space, and there's no other responsibility for him, that's what we learn. Okay, as long as I'm going to work and as long as I'm coming home every single night and I'm not stepping out, then I'm doing my job until we realize that in our relationships, there's a lot more that's required of us. They want to hear our emotions. They want to be more connected. They want to not only have intimacy, but the build up to intimacy, they want that to be there as well. So I think the emphasis on us doing more work is because we haven't been taught how to do the work that needs to be done.
Yeah.
And then the second thing that comes to mind is I got this from Tony Evans' Kingdom Man book. He said, men are doers and women are responders, right?
Mm,
If
mm,
a
mm.
man doesn't do, his woman can't respond, right? Or she replaces his doing with her doing. Now he becomes a responder and he feels like she's trying to overstep him. But that's exactly what has to happen when she has to respond to a lack of leadership. So
Mm.
those are the first two things that come to mind when I hear that statement. What's your
Yeah,
thought?
yeah. No, that's good. I fully realize because I realized this in myself that I did not get the tools from my father. And a lot of this I had to figure out on my own, right?
Yeah.
As did you, right? And so, as you become more aware, and understand sort of yourself and mature, there is sort of a realization that, there are two people in a relationship, and your feelings, your thoughts, your desires, they matter as well. I'm not going to say they supersede, but you have a voice, and what you feel matters. Here's kind of what the what the follow-up to that was. He was like, look, sometimes I just want some sex. He was like, why has it gotta be all this? Why has it gotta be all perfect? Why has it gotta be, the stars align? Why is it, can we just have some sex?
Yeah.
Can we just, I mean, it's been, weeks. Can we just have some sex? And I completely feel the brother. Like I know where he's coming from. And it's like, wow, are we bad for just wanting that?
Yeah.
Is there something wrong with that? What are your thoughts?
No, the first thing that comes to mind, I saw a video and then it just clicked to me. I think it was Dr. Daniels. He had the same sentiment, right? Like, what's wrong with me asking for it? The Bible says my body is no longer my body, and your body is no longer your body, it belongs to each other. Um, and his woman asked, but do you want me to mean it?
Mm.
Do you do you want me to mean it, right? And so let's unpack that a little bit. I get that a lot in my office, right?
Mm.
A man, he says, well, earlier in our relationship, our sex drive was high. You know what I'm
Oh
saying?
yeah.
We're always on it no matter what. Before the kids, it was going great. And then as we start having kids, as careers start developing, as we start getting older, it's starting to be diminished. And the very first thing I'll ask is, well, what's the connection like between you and your wife outside the bedroom? How much are you guys connecting? He was like, well, not much. We're always taking care of stuff. I said, okay, so we're not connecting on communication level. I was like, are you guys taking showers together? Are you doing massages? He was like, not really. I said, okay, what about dancing? Do you guys ever go dancing? Do you guys go swimming? Just stuff together? He was like, not really. And I said, so the problem is she doesn't feel connected. And if she doesn't feel connected, one, she's not going to mean it. Two, she may dissociate in the midst of it and it may not be arousing for her. I said, but us as men, as long as we have a firm erection, we can about do anything,
Hmm.
right? We don't even like, just like a lot of men, they become promiscuous. I don't need to know much about you to be able to have sex with you.
Right,
But when
right.
it comes to an intimate partner that I'm with on a day-to-day basis, she just requires a lot more if she wants to mean it. Because the last thing you want to do is to be passionate or to be in the mood to desire your wife, and you look at her in her face, a missionary, and she just not in it.
I hear you on that, and
Listen,
I'm not disagreeing with you on that. But I think as men, we're very simple creatures, right? It doesn't take a lot to figure us out. And, just as, I think women would want their men to be in tune with them, show intimacy outside of the bedroom and be in tune with their emotions and think. And, there's work that we have to do that doesn't feel comfortable to us. It's not our sweet spot. It's not what we like to do, right? But we know that it's important for them and for the sake of the relationship. So we do that. We sacrifice, we do that, right? So I guess what he was saying is the flip side is, well, man, I'm getting beat down at work. I'm stressed. I just want some loving. I just want some affection. Like throw me a bone. Like just something. Because right now I'm stressed and I really can't. I can't hear you. You know, the whole thing when you're hungry, when you're starving, you're in a stress situation, right? And so just to break it down medically, what happens when we're stressed is that, we go into survival mode. We go into fight or flight, right? Blood flow in our brain goes away from our prefrontal cortex and goes to the amygdala, right? And so our ability to have, high level executive functioning, decision making, impulse control, regulating our emotions, these things are not there when we're stressed, you know? And so as women can attest, guys get antsy. Guys look like they need a Snickers when it's been a minute. Uh,
yeah,
and it's like, well, why don't they see us? Why don't they say, hey, babe, you look like you need some. You knew like you need to blow one off. Let me help you with that.
yeah,
And so it's like you do hear some women get that, right? But it doesn't sound like that's the majority. And it's not a thing where let me do this for you. It's not for me, but let me just do this for you because I know that's what you need.
right. Which I can understand that as well. The thing that I'm battling with right now is how satisfying is the intimacy if I'm in survival mode, if I'm stressed out, right?
It's not about intimacy at that point.
No, you're talking about just having sex, right?
I'm talking about the man is hungry.
Right? Yep.
He's
He's
stressed.
he's deprived.
He can't he can't appreciate the higher level of thinking and spirituality and connection and all that good stuff
Right,
up here, right?
right,
He's got this primal thing going down here that's
right,
clouding his vision. Like this is biblical even, right? Like God doesn't, you can't preach salvation to someone who's hungry. You need to feed them. You need to feed the physical need first before you can address the higher need, the spiritual need. So
right.
that's what I'm saying.
No, 100%. And once again, I think the point I'm trying to make is, um, any in those situations like that, I just start asking questions, right? If yes, as men, we all have our needs and we need it. Hell, that's the reason why there's covenant, right? We're supposed to have access to it whenever it's supposed to be done.
Mhm.
But the thing is, how well is it being done, right? Or is this just about you? Because I only say this because a lot of men that I talk to, they make sex about them,
Mhm.
and
Mhm.
it's never about their partners. So if their sex is always about them relieving stress, them being able to function, them being able to be in that primal mode, but it's never about their partners, then that's the question: how satisfying actually is it?
Yeah. No, I agree. I
So
agree with that. Yes.
so where does your mind go? Because everything that you're saying, I absolutely agree with, but my mind always connects with both people, right? So as a husband, right? As a career man, and as a man, like I even noticed that you have your own supplements, which is absolutely amazing.
I do. Thank you. You need to get some. Well, you
No,
probably
I
don't need
do,
it,
E-Man. So,
but
so the question that I have for you is, when you are stressed out, when you need that connection, when you need that intimacy from your partner, um, are you still intentional about making sure that she is pleased or she has what she needs, or in those moments, is it just about your needs?
yeah. So I will tell you this. This is a great question because you know, it's putting this whole thing in context, in the bigger context, because a lot of what I spoke to a whole, group of women too about sex and why they don't like the sex that they're getting, why it's not pleasurable. And it's because they feel like the guys are in it for themselves, right? And they feel like their pleasure is not being prioritized, right?
Yeah.
And so my wife can't say that proudly. She cannot say that ever. So
Amen.
I take pride in pleasing her and pleasuring her. So that's not an issue. And I can say that after being married for 25 years, we get it, and she gets it. There are times when I'm in the mood, and we have different libidos, men and women, right? Right. So there are times when I'm in the mood where she's not.
Yeah.
And I notice that when I'm giving to her outside of the bedroom, when I am, considerate, when I'm spending time with her, when I'm doing all these things, it's like it's so much easier for her to be like, oh, let me just break you off, man. Let me. This is not for me. This is just for you. But
Yep.
I'm okay with that because I know that's what you need, right? And so yeah, there does need to be some consideration outside of those moments. You just can't have it all be, yo, I need a bus one, and not do all the other work.
Yeah, that goes back to the original point. Men are doers and women are responders,
Mm.
right? When we are doing,
Yeah.
they respond well. Like you said, in those moments, I'm handling business. I'm checking in with my wife. You know what I'm saying? I'm providing like I'm supposed to, whatever that looks like for you in your relationship. My kids are good. My wife, she's not too stressed out at work. And even if she is, we're making time to where she can relieve that stress. And if I'm stressed out and I'm the head and I'm making sure all this bad boy flows, she gonna make sure I'm straight.
Yeah.
Right?
Typically, yeah. Yeah.
But
That could
but
be.
if I'm not handling business, right? I had a recent couple, spoke with a young lady first, and she said, Rex, recently moved in. I've been here about the last 6 months, and I noticed that I'm doing almost everything. I cook around the same time. I do laundry. I maintain the house, and he just brings the bills in. Uh, she was like, but it's to the point where like if 5 o'clock hits and I'm not in the kitchen, he cusses me out. Like,
Hmm.
don't you see what time it is? Like,
Wow.
and then so she was just like, even when it comes to laundry, he doesn't even throw his laundry in the laundry basket. He puts it on the floor, but I'm expected to pick it up and maintain it all. And then when his friends come over, if they have partners, I'm expected to make sure I'm hospitable and everybody has what they need. And then at the end of me doing all of that, I'm expected to have sex with him. He
Yeah.
said, Rex, I don't even like him.
Yeah.
I don't even like him because like I feel like I don't have a say so. He controls everything out. Where I don't even go out no more with my friends because he fears that I'm going to be talking to somebody else, so somebody's going to try to talk to me. And he wants me to still be connected to him sexually. And it's hard for me to sit there and enjoy it because I'm not enjoying it outside of it. So
Mm.
I think that is the side of things. So when you said what the guy said, I'm thinking like, okay, what if he's that type of guy and he's still expecting everything from his woman when he's not pouring into her the right things? That's what I think about.
So okay, those are like two extremes,
Yeah,
right?
100%.
Right? You got the Mr. Do Nothing. It's all about me. I'm controlling everything, and you got the, I'm attentive. I'm seasoned. I got
Yeah,
this thing. Understand?
yeah,
What about the guys in between, right? It's like, you know, you see a guy, he's striving, he's not perfect.
right.
He doesn't get it all the time,
Yeah,
he's trying.
yeah, yeah,
He's trying. It still sounds like it's performance based. And unfortunately, this is what we're locked into. And I feel like our
mm,
spouses are locked into that too. Like we're all conditioned in our society, men should do this, that, and the other. And it's never of, you're a person, you have feelings, you have that, it's not, God doesn't love us by what we do. He doesn't give us things conditionally, and so is it always, man, it's got to be, you got to earn it
yeah.
in order to get it?
It shouldn't be. It truly shouldn't be. And I think that I wrote this down earlier. I said the healthier you become, the better you choose, right? And the
Mhm.
reason I say that is because during our vetting process, that's the time it's important to know what my partner is willing to do naturally, right? Who
Mhm.
does she become naturally without me asking for, without there being major commitments or engagement or just even marriage? What does she do naturally? Is she a natural giver or is she a natural taker? Right.
Mhm.
Now,
Mhm.
if she's a natural taker and I'm still committed to the process, and now I'm upset because we're in marriage and she's still taking and not giving, then I can't be upset with that because I vetted wrong. But
Mhm.
if I'm having the proper communication, I'm an average Joe, work a regular job. I don't go too crazy on vacations. I don't go to five-star dinners, but I show up, right? And I'm willing to communicate. That's enough for any woman. But if you're choosing the wrong women, it'll never be enough. And the
Mhm.
things that you need, you'll never get them. So
Mhm.
that's kind of how I see things.
Yeah. I think too, one aspect that is so important when it comes to, like, we talk about calls, giving calls, and guys, putting it out there, hey, and hey, I got a headache, or other excuses, why we can't. And rejection is real. Like men, that is like, I think that's like our kryptonite, our Achilles heel. Like,
Yeah.
rejection feels so personal,
Yeah.
you
It
know.
does.
And I was trying to figure out, why is that? Why is it such a deep thing when we get rejected sexually? And I think part of it, now you tell me what you think too, but I think part of it is because of the overemphasis on sex as far as our masculine identity.
Yeah.
But also it could be, for me, because I had a father wound where I was estranged from my father for 28 years, that felt like rejection. That was rejection,
Yeah.
right? And so just internally, if I see anything that feels like that, looks like that, it cuts deeper,
Yeah.
right? So so what are your thoughts on that? Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, it does. Because the underlying cognition is I'm not good enough.
Mm. Mhm.
I'm not good enough. I'm not desirable. You don't want this no more.
And we want to feel wanted. We want to feel desired too.
You deserve, you absolutely deserve every man in it because everybody talks about what a woman needs or the woman needs, but at the end of the day, we have feelings too. We want to be desired too. We want to be celebrated too, and we want to be just thought about and like, hey, I thought about you, and I'm gonna do this for. We want those too. So that's what one thing that comes to mind is that negative cognition of I'm not good enough, and I have so many stories, but there's a couple that I'm working with that they're a young couple and they haven't had sex in months, right? But when we finally sat down and we talked about it together, this is where it came to conclusion. His build up to intimacy is goofy and playful.
Hmm.
He likes to wrestle, he likes to joke and laugh, right? Her build up to intimacy is very sensual and more serious, right? More firm.
Hmm.
So he goes in with the jokes, she's turned off and rejects him,
Interesting. Hmm.
right? So when she's turned off and was like, "Hey, can you stop being like doing all that?" He shuts down, withdraws. He'll much rather go to another room, he'll masturbate, or he'll go to sleep. The whole time, she really wanted the intimacy, but the way he was working up to it is not what she desired. She wasn't willing to communicate, "I just don't like that." She just shut it down. I said,
Yeah.
"So you guys both want the same thing, you're just speaking two different languages." And
Yeah.
it becomes so and I said to him, "You feel rejected in those moments." And I even said to her, and when he shuts down and goes to another room, you feel rejected in those moments. So nobody wants to initiate because we don't want to get rejected.
That's it. Oh my goodness, that is so true. And rejection is so visceral and so deep that we will avoid the situation to avoid the feeling of rejection because that hurts more than anything else. So we won't even try. I know I have a friend who he and his wife, I don't think they've had sex in a year.
Yeah.
And it's always something and so I think women need to understand when a man it goes without for so long, like he is going to find some outlet at some point, right? And typically, because we're simple, we're not complex.
Yeah.
Typically, it's going to be, porn and or masturbation,
Yeah.
or it's going to be looking for attention outside of the marriage. It's just that simple. And it's like, I'm not gonna say why would you send your man out hungry or whatever. I'm just saying this is what goes on in a man's mind. Like he's got to feel validated. If he can't feel validated at home, it's very tough to accept that and to not try to seek it somewhere else.
Yeah. And that's biblical.
Hmm.
The Bible says, "Don't deprive each other
Yeah.
to prevent yourself being from being tempted by the devil."
Yeah. You're right.
That's, it's we all have desires, we all have needs, and the flesh is weak.
Yeah.
The flesh is weak. So if I don't feel good enough by my partner, then I can find some porn that's gonna make me feel good. I can find some porn that's gonna give me some control. Or don't let somebody at work give me the same attention I've been wanting from my partner.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have this thought process of I'm faithful, I'm married. Remember, you love your wife, you love your kids, you love everything you have. But every time you go home, you get rejected. Every single time you go home, she's still not asking you about your day. She's still not tuned into you. She's still not trying to give. This voice gets louder and louder and louder until one day you try it out, right? And just like a person that deals with masturbation or pornography, you keep it in secret and you feel shameful about it, but you don't stop doing it. You keep
Oh
doing
yeah.
it. And that's
It's feeling a void. It's feeling a basic human need to be wanted, to be desired, to be seen, right? I think a lot of men feel like we're not being seen. It's crazy. It's like because I don't think we're good communicators, it's hard for us to articulate our needs,
yeah,
right? So we rather go silent and
yeah,
not say anything. And so that further perpetuates the being unseen part of things. And then, that kills intimacy. If I feel like you don't even see me or know me or feel me, then it's like, and you don't care.
yeah.
That's brutal.
Yeah, 100%. And think about for kids. I have this teenager that I'm working with, and she just like after our session, that she was going to skate night with her friends. And she told her mom, "Mom, we have to go to the store and we have to get the blue jeans with the white crop top because that's what the other girls are wearing. I can't be the only one without it." Right? Everybody wants to feel a part. Everybody wants to feel desired. Everybody wants to be included. And in the relationship, if you don't feel a part, if you don't feel desired, if you don't feel included, you feel like you're on the outside. You don't feel seen. You don't feel heard, and that creates an array of other problems. So I think going back to your original main point of this topic, um, what was it? You said when you're starved, when you're not being heard, how'd you say it?
Yeah, when you're hungry, it's hard to hear anything else, without that basic need being met. And I don't know if if you want to say a point because I have a follow-up to that.
Go ahead, brother.
um we were that same group that we were having a chat one time, and this guy was talking about how he had something on the side. He had stepped out and he had never really been faithful in his marriage, and then like he said every time, like after he finished, it's like he's like, why did I do that, and it's like we call it post nut clarity, right?
Yeah.
And physiologically, post-nut clarity is a real thing.
Yep.
That is when the blood flow goes back from the amygdala back up to your prefrontal cortex, and now you're more logical. You can actually discern and make sense of things and not be impulsive and all of that. But when you're in that state, all of that goes away. And even when I would even say, having conversations when you are in that state is unproductive,
100%.
right? And so I guess what I'm saying is too, if there are women watching this and seeing this and saying, man, like I can't get through to him. I can't, it doesn't seem like things are registering. And it's also been a long time since you guys have had
Yep.
sexual intimacy, then, I would say, hey, throw them a bone,
Yeah.
and to see how that clears up, because there is something physiologically that resets our brains
Yeah.
after that, right?
Yeah.
And particularly when it's done with your partner. Well, it doesn't necessarily get cured with just masturbation. When there's that intimacy shared with your partner, that's when I think he can return to his senses. That's a better time to talk or try to get your point across
Yeah.
than, when he's starved for months.
100%. And you can't if for the women that are watching this, please don't weaponize sex.
Mm.
Don't weaponize it. Don't take it off the table as a punishment.
Oh, say it again to the people
Uh,
in the back.
right. Man, don't take it off the table as a form of punishment because it's almost like a threat. Men don't take threats well.
No,
Don't
no.
take threats well. There's going to be some men that are going to do everything they can to earn it, right? There's going to be some men that's going to say, "Fine, if you don't want to give it to me, I'll find other ways to make it happen," which to tie into addictions. And there are some men that's just going to go back outside.
Mhm.
And so as long as you're holding off and you're thinking you're in control, he's going to have his control somewhere else, right? So
Mm.
so please don't make him feel like he has to earn it, just like you don't want him to make you feel like you have to earn his money.
Mm. Mhm.
Right. The minute you feel like your man isn't willingly or freely or generously giving to you or spending on you or spoiling you, you're going to go find somebody else to do it. You're going to get an attitude. That's the same way we feel when it comes to intimacy.
Oh, that's so good. Oh my goodness, that is so good. Here's the thing, like to me, it's like women have so much power,
Yeah, 100%.
right? To change a situation. And it's almost like it's a misuse of power. When you talk about weaponizing sex and withholding, like if you're trying to get something through to him or you're trying to get a point across, like withholding is the opposite thing you want to do, right? Because he's really not hearing you.
Nope.
He ain't hearing a word you say, right? He's hearing with his body. And so if they knew, hey, let me just show him I care about his feeling, his libido. I don't get it. I'm not a man. I don't have the same sex, but I know he does, and I know that's important to him. Let me throw this out to him. Let me give of myself. Let me sacrifice out of love, not of obligation, but because I know this is a need. And if that happened more often, I think we would not have as many issues. I think some of that stuff, you would take off the table and you would have more productive conversations.
100%. And something else I'll add to that is this. Um, Not only can many problems be solved by communication, but for a woman, if there's certain, for the women that are listening, if there's something that you are needing from him to to make you want to be more open, to make you want to be more feminine, to make you want to be more submissive, make you want to have the energy that you need to do it, ask for it.
Mm, mm,
Ask for it, right? Just like if it's something that a man is needing from his woman, ask for it. Don't demand it, ask for it. Because if we're able to talk and say, I'm not gonna lie to you, babe, when I feel disconnected, I don't feel like doing the things you want me to do. That's just like the book, Love and Respect. A man needs respect,
mm,
and a woman needs love. If a man doesn't love his wife, she's gonna act in ways that aren't respectful. And if a man doesn't, if a woman doesn't respect her husband, he's gonna act in ways that aren't loving, right?
mhm,
And it
mhm,
also makes me think about the fact that men need side by side intimacy and women operate off face to face intimacy. So
mhm,
side by side intimacy is men are doers, right? We're as kids, we're playing football, we're building trucks, we're playing cops and robbers. We're doing that's how we have fun. That's how we feel connected to our friends, feel connected to our partners. Women need face to face intimacy. As long as we're talking, we're connecting,
mhm,
right? So if I'm not being able to be side by side or connect with you that way, I'm definitely not going to be able to hear you because I don't want to be face to face.
mhm, mhm. Yeah.
Then
And
how do you?
I feel like they need to understand too that there's a huge intimacy gap. And for a lot of us, and I used to be this way too, the only way I felt close was with intercourse,
Yeah,
you know. And so it's something that we have to unlearn,
yeah,
you know, but it takes time, you know, and
yeah,
it takes, you know, showing other ways to be intimate, you know, outside of intercourse. And I think some women, you know, honestly need to teach their man,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
How to do that, but taking sex off the table to do that
yeah.
is not the first step.
Unproductive.
Right? It would actually be counterproductive because most men aren't there.
Yeah.
We just never learn how to be there. But case in point, this past weekend was it Valentine's weekend? Yes. So I usually plan out things for Valentine's Day, you know, and I kind of low key hate Valentine's Day, but
Feel that? Okay.
tell my wife. No, but no, it's always it seems like there's just so much pressure on us as men to get it
100%.
right, right? On Valentine's Day. It's less pressure on them. Their job is really simple. So we got to be creative and all this stuff. Well, I was out of town, but you know, I was like, you know, I was trying to plan stuff and I was like, you know what? I got too much going on. Why, you know, I just planned our weekend beforehand. Why don't you get this one? And she was like, bet, I got it, you know. And so man, we had the best time. We went to a Thai massage,
Mm,
um, what do you call it? Like not seminar. What do you call it? It was like an instructor and instructing all these people learning
wow,
how couples how to do Thai massage.
that's amazing.
And it was so good. And it was like, wow, like I wasn't familiar with Thomas. I don't know if you are, but you know, it's not like the traditional, like it's so like light and not, I mean, you're not grinding or you just kind of use your body weight and press on things and stretch things and that you get into these intimate positions. It's very sensual and very intimate. And it was like, wow, like that's another way to connect and be intimate, right? Then we went on this brush and board and brush thing where we like worked together and created wall art, you know, staining and wood and all this stuff. And then we went to dinner and it was like, wow, like this is great. Like she's teaching me other ways to
Yeah.
connect and so the same way that you know and I consider myself pretty enlightened but hey I still can learn some stuff right and so I feel like you know if women knew like dude your man really doesn't have it he doesn't get it understand it he never learned it from his father
Yeah.
you know, and so you may have to guide him a little bit on that. I think we would, you know, have some empathy or some sympathy for where he is because you may have to bring him along a little bit more.
And and a lot of times it's hard for women to do that because they don't know either,
Ah,
right?
wow.
They don't know either.
They have father wounds, mother wounds too. Yeah, yeah.
Just think about it. Just like, our fathers, I know in the neighborhood I grew up in, they will always ask you, you had a wet dream yet? You ain't busting nut yet. Like they're joking about it, but nobody's instructing you on what it looks like or what it sounds like or how it's supposed to go unless you hear it or see it through porn. But one thing that you watch through porn, it's a lot of anger going on, it's a lot of aggression, it's hard, it's not consensual, it's not the man checking with his wife and asking the right questions. Hey, do you like this? This is okay. A lot of men don't like asking clarifying questions during sex because the last thing we want to hear is actually don't like that at all because that'll turn us completely off. So with that being the case, it's learning together. I actually told one of the couples I'm working with, if you don't know and y'all don't have the language, or if y'all don't have the actions or don't know how to ask for it, then you got to go to people that do know how to ask for it. That's why I said coming to me. Or I told them about this yoga class, this is sensual yoga class. You can do virtual or do it in person, and it's the instructor. She's teaching you guys how to be close, using your arms and your body to massage each other. That connection, it builds on the intimacy, which you want to go home and have fun after. But if you
Right.
don't know it and you're expecting me to know it and I don't know it, and let's just say you know it for yourself, but you're not willing to teach me, then we're butting heads and we're not connecting and we're not having fun. And when you're not having fun, you try to avoid that thing. And the last thing you want to do is avoid intimacy with your partner because that's where things go left.
And there's so, man, what you do, this is a whole nother topic about communicating about sex that we need to have because it's an issue. It's a barrier. No one feels comfortable
Right.
really talking about it. And maybe on the next go around we can kind of dive into why that is, man. But man, this is good, man. I hope we kind of bridge the gap a little bit of understanding between the sexes and
Absolutely.
how we operate and how it's a give and take for both. So any closing thoughts?
Yeah, so for the fellas that are watching this and you are needing more, requiring more, wanting more from your partner, I want you just to evaluate your own personal actions. How are you
Hmm.
showing up as a husband? How are you showing up as a father? Um, is there anything that you're doing for her to lighten her load, right? Other than providing or other than just showing up? Are you helping her with the chores, right? Are you giving her slaps on the butt in the kitchen, right? Are you kissing her on the shoulder? Right? Are you guys even having taken showers together, taking baths, or are you guys connecting? And if you aren't doing that, just know that the last thing she wants from you is sex.
Hmm.
So, but if you are showing up, you are willing to communicate, you are trying to alleviate some of her stress, then I promise you, the give and take, the generosity, it should be a generosity war in the house if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing. And then the last thing I have for the ladies is if you have a man that's trying, a
Hmm.
man that's showing up, a man that's loving you, a man that's coming home, listen, talk to the man in all kind of ways. Talk to him, man, be generous, be loving. And then also if there's something that he's not doing right sexually that you would like to tweak, have a conversation about it. Don't bring them down. Don't say it's terrible, but just say, "Hey, how about we try it this way?" Or if there's any type of instructional video that you may want to bring up, just whatever. Just y'all do it together so he knows it's a team effort and you just prioritize the intimacy together.
Dude, that's so great. I would say this too. On top of that, don't tell him during the act. That's the wrong time to say anything.
Right.
You know, don't do it in bed. Do it like, hey, this other thing that you did, I really like that or whatever. Like that really doesn't get it, but we need to be educated. And I think for men, we need to humble ourselves
Yes.
to realize that, we don't know it all and we make some assumptions
Yeah.
about how we're pleasing our spouse and to realize that what they're looking for, number one, is a deeper level of connection, that intimacy. That I always say that's the secret sauce of good sex is intimacy. So they're looking for that connection outside of the bedroom first, right? But being able to communicate and asking, humbly because you want to please them and serve them. Hey, what do you like? I think I may not be getting it all. Just school me. Like, what feels good to you? How do you like it? And learn. you know? I mean, that's an act of love, that's an act of intimacy. And I hope that she would do the same in return, you know, and you all would be able to share in that way.
So let me say this, a couple questions you can ask. Um, what's one thing that I do that you absolutely find enjoyment in, right? What's something that I do that you would like for me to try different? Is there
Nice.
is there anything that you would like to try new as a couple, right? Um, and so those three questions right there are discovery questions. And
Nice.
but the thing is, please don't get offended. Please put your ego and pride at the door because if your woman says, well, actually, the last time you did this, I didn't really like that too much, but when you did this, it felt a lot better. You have to be receptive to the information because she is giving you feedback like a survey when you go to a restaurant or when you go to get your tires done. They want to know how to do better. If she's giving you feedback and you take that, you get aggressive, you get attitude, you get loud, she will no longer feel safe with correcting you
Mm,
or giving you any type of thing to do different. So be receptive to it, be open to it, ask her for any new suggestions, and then try it out.
mm. I
100%. That's the best way to do it.
I like that. Man, I got one more for you.
Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Um, people change, people evolve, you know. There are hormonal changes that occur, you know, as women get older, as men get older, you know, what our taste, what our likes change or can change. So don't always assume that what worked 10 years ago is still working today, right? And so it's really good to check in every once in a while, you know, just to say, hey, I'm just want to make sure that you're good, you know, like, hey, I noticed that, you know, you didn't seem to be as excited or whatever, you know, like, hey, how can we change it up or whatever? So nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with asking the question to improve because the point of the matter is it's showing that you're concerned, that you care, that you are prioritizing their pleasure and satisfaction. And guess what? If sex is linked to pleasure and happiness and fulfillment, she's gonna want more of it.
Easily. Easily. And then also, guys, last thing I'll say is because I haven't introduced myself, I am Rex Howard Jr., relationship and sex therapist out of Texas. If you find yourself in Texas and you need a couples therapy, you need a sex therapist, or you just need to work through these communication issues, because a lot of times it's not a sex issue, it's a communication issue. If that's something that you want to work through, just go to resolvecc.com and book a session with me, and I'll be more than happy to work with you guys.
Nice, nice. Very good. Rex, this has been real, man.
Absolutely.
I appreciate it. We need to do this again.
Most definitely. And we
Yes.
will.
Yes. Thanks for your time, bro.
Yes, sir.
All right.